Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the usual noise and really get to the heart of things. And today, we're tackling a big one. Confidence.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about it, right? But what is it really? Is it loud? Is it, quiet? Can you actually fake it till you make it? Or is there something deeper going on? So our mission today, using insights from a fascinating YouTube transcript we've analyzed, is to figure out what makes someone genuinely confident. And maybe, just maybe, learn how to tell the difference between that real self-assurance and, well, just putting on a show. We want to give you some practical stuff to think about.
Absolutely. And this isn't just theory. We're aiming for a roadmap, really. How can you cultivate that authentic confidence? We'll cut through some myths, look at what the source material suggests are concrete ways to understand it and build it for yourself.
Okay, so let's kick things off. There's this image from the source material that really stuck with me. Picture Saint-Tropez. Super wealthy, designer, everything, people really dressing up to the nines, as they say. But then, get this, the sources talk about a billionaire's son. And he shows up to these fancy places in sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, like dressed like a bum everywhere is how the source puts it. It's pretty striking.
It really is. So what's the takeaway there? What does that tell us?
Well, the insight behind why he did that is fascinating. It wasn't just being sloppy. The sources call it foo money, which basically means having so much financial independence that you just don't need to prove anything to anyone with clothes or cars or anything.
Ah, okay. So it's like the ultimate, I don't care what you think because you're already secure.
Exactly. The source says it perfectly. Confidence is very, very quiet. It is not loud. And that quietness, it's not just about, not bragging. It's this deep internal congruence, maybe. Your self-worth is stable. You don't need external stuff to fill a gap.
That makes sense. It's a presence, not a performance.
Right.
Which is such a stark contrast, isn't it, to maybe other people in that same Saint-Tropez setting. People who perhaps don't have that background.
Yeah.
And they might overcompensate, exaggerate the labels, the flashiness, almost like they do have something to prove.
Yeah, the source mentions that kind of imposter syndrome idea, feeling like you have to put on a front because you secretly feel like you don't belong or aren't enough.
So how common is that, do you think? Mistaking the loud performance for actual confidence.
Oh, incredibly common. I mean, the sources point out that genuinely confident people, they don't really feel the need to go around telling people what they are. Like the example they use is someone who maybe claims they get loads of dates, always talking about it. If you're truly confident about your attractiveness or, anything else, you don't need to announce it. People just see it. I feel it. It radiates. You don't have to say, hey, I'm confident because, well, if you are, it shows.
Okay. And speaking of how it shows or doesn't, the sources mentioned this Reddit definition. It sounded pretty good at first glance. Something like, people break necks trying to notice you. You take up space. You become the space. Center of attention without being the center of attention. Sounds magnetic, right?
It does sound appealing, yeah. But the analysis in our source material actually frames that, well, differently, as potentially stemming from insecurity.
Really? How so?
The core idea is that true confidence doesn't need that external validation. It's not about walking into a room thinking, okay, how do I become the center of attention? Confident people, according to this analysis, genuinely don't care about that. Their worth is internal. They don't need necks breaking to feel okay. They're just case them, whether people notice or not.
Right. So it's not about the external reaction at all. It's internal. Which brings us to, well, what is it about then? What about self-acceptance?
Yes, that's huge in the source material, this idea of knowing everything about yourself. And they specifically mentioned the shadow self, your flaws and your strengths.
The shadow self. Explain that a bit more.
It's basically those parts of ourselves we often don't acknowledge or we repress. Could be negative traits, sure, but sometimes even positive ones we're scared of. And the logic presented is, if you run away from your flaws, pretend they're not there. Well, you feel awful when someone points them out, right? You feel exposed.
Vulnerable.
But the sources say when you're truly confident, you know everything, you accept everything, so when people do bring it up, it loses its power. No one can hurt you with your flaws now because you already know you have it. You've already accepted it. It's like self-armor in a way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It feels counterintuitive maybe that knowing your flaws makes you stronger, but I see it now.
Yeah.
So part of that acceptance must be like being able to laugh at yourself or take criticism.
Exactly. Confident people based on this, aren't terrified of criticism or a bit of self-deprecating humor because it doesn't actually diminish their core sense of self. It doesn't chip away at who they fundamentally are.
Where's someone else?
Someone with what the source calls a really fragile sense of who they are, they're going to be on edge all the time. Anything that sounds like criticism, even if it's constructive, they immediately got to defend themselves because that external comment feels like a major threat to their shaky self-image.
Okay, so we've talked about confidence being quiet, internal, rooted in self-acceptance. But how do you build that? Where does the practical side come in? Practice.
Yeah, practice and preparation are key themes. The sources use a really good analogy, a math test. If you studied really hard, put the hours in, you understand the concepts. Well, you have the right to be confident going into that test. You've earned it.
Right. Makes sense.
But if you haven't studied, you can try to bluff, but deep down, you know you're unprepared. You can't fake your confidence in a real way. It shows that confidence isn't just this magical feeling you conjure up. It often comes from competence, from putting in the work. You have to train yourself to be confident in specific areas.
Earned confidence. I like that. And the source is also warned about, well, where you get that confidence from, right?
Yeah.
Not tying it too much to external things.
Oh, definitely. That's a huge point. Where is your sense of worth actually anchored? The danger, as highlighted in the material, is basing your confidence only on things which would disappear or can disappear.
Like the money example again.
Exactly. If that rich guy's confidence was only about the money, take the money away, and what's left? Poof! Confidence gone. Or, another example they give, people whose confidence is totally wrapped up in their looks. Beauty fades, we have off days. If that's your only source, your confidence is going to be really unstable, fragile.
Yeah, the source material actually shared a personal story about that, didn't it? About only being prided on my appearance for a while, and how that led to really low confidence on days when they didn't feel they looked good. It was only when they started focusing on the other aspects. Personality, humor.
Right. Building a more diversified foundation for self-worth. That anecdote really drives it home. It shows the shift towards something more internal and stable, and that connects to another really important building block mentioned, showing up for yourself.
What does that mean exactly?
It means not constantly lying to yourself. You say you're going to do something, get up early, exercise, speak up in a meeting, whatever it is, and then you don't.
We all do that sometimes.
Sure, but if it's a constant pattern, you're essentially teaching yourself that your word doesn't matter. You erode your own self-trust. The sources describe confidence as being built like building blocks. Udal-unayar, isa-alinun gurchgatayo, like stacking things up, very slowly. Each time you honor a commitment to yourself, even a small one, like, say, standing up for yourself when you normally wouldn't, you add a block. You build that internal reliability.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Building trust with yourself. Okay, so if it's about building these internal blocks, what about that old saying, fake it till you make it? Is there any truth to that, according to the sources?
Well, they give it some credit, but with a big caveat. They say it can definitely trip your brain into thinking you are something you're not, which can be good in the moment.
Like a little mental trick to get you through something tough.
Exactly. A temporary boost maybe helps you push past initial fear, like a placebo almost. But, and this is the crucial part, they warn that over time, if you're not actually addressing the deeper issue, it will come out. It's a Band-Aid, not a cure. You can't fake deep, genuine confidence indefinitely if the foundation isn't where.
Right. The faking doesn't build those internal blocks we were just talking about.
Precisely.
Actually, this ties into another great personal example from the sources. Solo traveling. They talked about being initially really scared of it, and how in the past, they'd even, find travel buddies they didn't really like just to avoid being alone, which sounds miserable.
Yeah, leading to a shitty time, as they put it. But then they actually did it. It went solo, and it was transformative. They had the best time ever, grew so much, and now the confidence they have isn't fake. It's real. It's the earned confidence of knowing, hey, I can go travel anywhere by myself, and I'll figure it out. I'll be okay. That came from doing it, from facing the fear and proving to themselves they could handle it.
That's a fantastic illustration of the difference. The confidence comes after the action, after stepping out of the comfort zone.
Exactly. It's built, not just declared.
Now, shifting gears slightly, but still related, the material also had a neat practical tip about personal style, how that connects to confidence.
Yeah, it wasn't about following fashion, but about authenticity, wearing what feels genuinely you. The examples were things like preferring natural dark hair over dyed, or liking simple, muted clothes instead of bright colors or flashy items just because they're trendy.
So when your outside matches your inside, basically.
Kind of, yeah. When you wear clothes that feel authentic to you, not like you're wearing a costume to fit in or impress someone else, you naturally feel more comfortable and, well, confident. You're expressing yourself, honestly.
Okay, so we've gone through what confidence is: quiet, internal, earned, and how it's built through acceptance and action. What about spotting it, or maybe even cultivating it through our own nonverbal cues?
Yeah.
Body language.
Right. The sources offered some really useful pointers on body language, things to look out for or be mindful of in ourselves. First off, fidgeting. Constant tapping, shifting, leaning way forward. It often signals internal unease, a lack of confidence.
Okay.
Whereas confident people generally tend to seem more relaxed. They might sit back on the chair very relaxed, appearing comfortable in the space and in their own skin. Less need to sort of nervously fill the space.
Makes sense. What else?
Stuttering. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply if someone has a natural speech impediment that's completely different. But nervous stuttering, tripping over words, can definitely signal anxiety or lack of confidence in what you're saying.
Right, feeling put on the spot.
Exactly. And then, a big one, eye contact. The sources call good eye contact a main thing. Being able to hold someone's gaze comfortably, not staring aggressively, but just connecting. It shows presence, honesty, engagement.
Unless they make you blush, as the source humorously added.
Yeah, there are always exceptions. But generally, good, steady eye contact is a strong indicator.
So these are subtle things, but they really speak volumes, don't they? It's worth paying attention to in ourselves and others.
Absolutely. So if we were to kind of pull it all together, the core message from this deep dive seems to be that real confidence isn't about the loud show, the external props. It's really about being comfortable with yourself, truly. Which means, as we discussed, knowing all your flaws, accepting them and putting in the work, gaining practice in areas you want to be confident in. It's internal. It's earned.
Yeah, absolutely. We've really unpacked that difference, I think, between the genuine quiet self-assurance and those louder, maybe more performative displays that might actually be masking insecurity. And hopefully, we've given you some concrete things to think about, from that radical self-acceptance piece to, the real growth that happens when you put your boundaries.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this, reflect on this. Is there an area in your life right now where perhaps you're looking for external validation to feel confident? And based on what we've explored today, how might shifting your focus towards that deeper self-acceptance, towards honoring your own commitments, towards that quiet, consistent practice, how might that change your approach to building confidence that's truly yours and truly lasts? Something to think about.